This section heading is called Easing Administration. So currently we have an SSH session established from the client to the master. And the way that we're going to ease administration is by altering the way that our prompt displays the path. So by default, your prompt wants to display what is known as the absolute path. Now, because we're within the user's home directory, it uses a character tilde to represent that path. However, if we wanted to see what that tilde represents, then we could execute the pwd command, which stands for print working directory. So now the absolute path is the position from root to where you currently are within the file system. So now here's the problem. When we navigate away from our user's home directory, we're no longer going to use a character to represent that path. So to illustrate this, we're going to navigate to where Hadoop's configuration files are located. So now we can see the absolute path being displayed within the prompt. Now obviously this is adding clutter within the terminal, and it's making our lives much more difficult when performing administration within the cluster. So what we're going to do to ease administration is we're going to shorten the prompt by editing the PS1 variable and instruct that variable to only display what is known as the relative path within the prompt. So now when you think of the relative path, just think of your current working directory. So now this variable is defined inside the .bashrc file, which is located inside the user's home directory. So the first thing that I'm having you do is to actually view that variable, and this is on line 60 of that file. We're going to print that inside the terminal, and then once again this is the .bashrc file. So your PS1 variable, it defines the structure of your prompt, and what's instructing it to display the absolute path right now is this lowercase w. The way that we're going to get it to display the relative path is by changing it to an uppercase W. So now once again, to do this, we're going to use sed. We're now going to edit the in-place file, and we're going to substitute on line 60, we're going to substitute a lowercase w with an uppercase W. So now we're going to read in the changes by sourcing the file, .bashrc, and now we're going to test it out. So now we can see the relative path being displayed within the prompt. So now before, when we were displaying the absolute path in the prompt, this was actually overkill anyways, because we could actually see that path being displayed along the top, and we can still see it, and we don't need it in two places. So by shortening the prompt, as I said, we're easing administration, and if we want to actually see the absolute path inside the terminal here, then we can just execute that pwd command.